It's no secret that Canada and the West and really the whole world has been storming towards the Great Reset, the New World Order agenda, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Agenda 2030, whatever name you call it, the agenda is the same. Complete control of your speech, complete control of your behavior, all facilitated through a dystopian technocratic state that is being rolled out across every single country. Canada has given us a very good example recently as to what that may look like for the whole world in the very near future. Take a listen to this new bill, which was introduced on October 1st, which basically says that if you say the wrong thing, the government will be able to immediately cut your internet and telephone access.
Now on to the present bill. I am concerned, as I say, by the following sections. 15.1 and 15.2 give the minister the unprecedented, incredible power to kick any private Canadian citizen off the internet, to cut off their phone line, to turn off their cell phone. That is the plain language summary, but I will quote now the bill in its legalese. If there is reasonable grounds to believe that it is necessary to do so to secure the Canadian telecommunication system against any threat, the minister may prohibit a telecommunication service provider from providing any service to the specified person. Now, perhaps this might make sense to do in an extreme circumstance, if a person is trying to cause our satellites to crash or to jam military radar. But this section does not use language about extreme threats of physical damage or threats to national security. It says any threat. And as far as I can tell, given the Liberals' incautious and bombastic use of terms like misinformation, that being any information they don't like, or existential threat, for instance, the member from Milton called the leader of my party an existential threat to our democracy, which is, of course, bananas. So given their incautious and bombastic use of these phrases, it seems to me that the industry minister could deem any speech she doesn't like any threat, and then kick that person off the internet. This section reaches Chinese Communist Party levels of government overreach, and they should be ashamed of themselves. The bill gets worse, it does not get better, Mr. Speaker. 15.2, Clause 5, gives the minister the ability to make her decision to kick someone off the internet. Secret. So imagine that. You've annoyed the Liberal Party overlords, and they've decided to kick you off the internet and cut your phone line. You can't tell anyone that you've been cut off. I have no idea how this could even possibly be enforced, but imagine being put effectively in a digital gulag, unable to use the phone or the internet or your online banking, and if you tell anyone that this happened, you could go to physical jail. I do not doubt that the Liberals will stand and say that I'm being somehow outlandish in my interpretation of this. I am not. It is there in black and white. Let me quote it for them. It seems like they haven't read it. 15.2, Clause 5. An order made under subsection 1 or 2 may include a provision prohibiting the disclosure of its existence, or some or all of its content, by any person. And if you aren't inclined to believe me, please just Google it.
Now, this is, of course, an addition to the digital ID agenda, an addendum, if you will. Because not only will they be able to silence anyone on the internet and restrict their access to life, I mean, just pause for a moment and think about what this really means. You can't pay your bills. You can't pay your electricity bill, your phone bill. Just taking electricity as an example, or even your water bill. How are you actually going to survive without the internet in today's day and age? And people may say, well, I'll just go to the post office and pay my bill that way. Do all providers still allow for that? I'm not sure. But then you would also have to be able to check your bank balance. So, okay, you can go into the bank physically to check it all of the time. But the insurmountable inconvenience that this causes people cannot be understated. So they want to completely change the way that you live your life, completely change the way that you conduct yourself in the world in order to not share anything that goes against the agenda. Otherwise, you're essentially completely banned from civic society. Now, that is what the digital ID agenda is actually about. In the World Economic Forum, we've shown you this graph before. The World Economic Forum shows us what digital identity is crucial for, including the Internet of Things, economic progress, cybersecurity, justice and law, logistics, systemic racism. But here, this part here, civic participation, meaning unless you have a digital identity, you're excluded from civic participation. Now, of course, The bill doesn't probably expressly say that this is linked to the digital ID agenda. They'll never outright tell you that, but it is, because the UN's agenda, that is a published book, and you can watch on zmedia.com, just look up UN 100, you can watch the full agenda there. We have done an extensive report, it's well over 3 hours, on this very thing, which talks about how not only will all of your online activity be linked to your identification, but then you will also be penalized for wrongthink, essentially. Comments and thoughts that are not conducive with the society that they want to create for 2030 and beyond. And to be specific, their goal of 2030 has to do with the year 2045. We won't relitigate all of that right now. But again, they won't expressly say it's linked to digital ID. But of course, when you look at the makeup of these bills, they are all linked to that agenda. And that is very much the case with Real ID as well. Senator Rand Paul has tweeted about this just yesterday. Throwback, I said the Patriot Act was not patriotic, and I meant it. Secret courts, warrantless surveillance, a trade of liberty for false security. Another example of this, Real ID, a federal overreach that turns your driver's license into a tracking tool. My bill, S2769, repeals it. No more permission slips for freedom. And you can see the link to the bill there. Now, I would say that this turns your driver's license into far more than just a tracking tool, as Senator Rand Paul says. Nonetheless, we certainly support his efforts to get that repealed, because maybe not in the next year, maybe not in the next 2 years, maybe it will, but eventually, my point is that eventually the US will start to see similar measures as Canada and Australia and the UK are taking if we allow them to keep going down this path of building the blocks of digital ID, which is what Real ID is. Just in a matter of a couple of months, Australians will not be able to even access a Google search unless they verify themselves online. And they'll say, well, maybe you won't need a digital ID for that. That was the original argument. No, it won't be digital ID. It'll just be age verification. But the point is that these two go hand in hand. The world that they are building, the dystopia that they are building, is that you cannot participate in society unless your ID is linked to everything that you do online. And just imagine the repercussions for people who present wrongthink on the internet, and then they're cut off from their phone and their internet. They can't organize politically. So you may say, okay, yes, I'll go to the post office and do all my banking in person. Maybe you can manage all of that. But you can't organize any political action. You can't voice your concerns about certain bills or legislation or even appointments because you've been cut off from participating in civil society. That is the goal, and we can't allow it. And we support this effort to repeal this bill immediately in the United States. Hopefully the people of Canada are able to defeat this agenda as well.